Hey everybody, it's Libby with Fearlessness. What is fearlessness? It's the underlying grit that empowers us to forge ahead. Even when hope seems distant, it's the courage to walk through those fires of hell, knowing that we're going to come out stronger and better on the other side. Stay tuned and learn how to get fearlessness. I'm Libby DeLucien, your host, and today's guest is Faith Castillo, or actually you don't go by Castillo. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
So Faith, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, as you said, my name is Faith, and I have a cleaning company, a residential cleaning company in Tyler, Texas. And I have been cleaning houses since I could drive. So I've been cleaning since I was about 15, 16 years old. And I actually started as a part-time job, like most people do with their businesses. It started as eventually it just took over, and that part of it, people calling me, and I kept saying yes, and hence the business was born from there. So
how many years has it been then?
let's see, it's been about 17, almost 18 years now that I've been in business.
Wow. So that's a long time. I just interviewed Beth, and she's celebrating 20 years.
Yeah.
Since she has started her service company as well.
Yeah, it's crazy, and it goes by so fast. And some days are really slow, or you're really tired and don't know what to do. And then other days it's like, wow, it's already been 2 years, you know? So it's crazy how fast it goes.
So let's talk about your journey. So recently, Faith, because I know you personally and professionally, your journey in this business has changed. You've added a few family members.
Yes.
Just a few. Two specifically.
Yeah, we added 2. Yeah.
So tell us about that. What
story,
caused, adding of the one and the other one, well, we know.
Yeah. Well, what happened is when I decided to go, long story short, I was a gymnastics coach and I cleaned houses. So I did gymnastics, and then before school, I would clean houses, and then after school, I would go and coach gymnastics. And then after about 8 years of doing that, I decided I got to pick one here because I'm getting burnt out, working 14, 15-hour days. I'm getting tired here. So I decided just to pick house cleaning. I loved coaching. I absolutely loved it. But then I said, I want my weekends back. And with coaching, you do give up a lot of your free time of weekends. So I went to do house cleaning full time from there. So I did that for about 3 years, 2 or 3 years, on my own, just full time on my own. And then I actually moved to a different city. So I left my old coaching job and moved within the same 2 or 3 month period. So I had no turning back. I had to make it or go with it. There was nothing else that could happen. So I built up my clientele in the other city, and I commuted for a little while to my old town, and I went back and forth as I built that up. And then eventually I faded the other one out and made the new one here where I live now, here in Tyler. And probably about 2 years after living here, I met my husband, and we started dating. And one thing led to another, and it was like, all right, I guess we're getting married. There was oddly enough, there was no formal proposal. We just both decided we're going to get married. So then 3 months after we get married, he says, you know what? He called me one morning and he says, I'm done with this workplace. He had been working there for 15, 18 years. And he was done working there. And he said, okay, he asked me, how many houses do we have to get to replace my income? And I laid there in bed at 7:00 in the morning doing the math. And I said, this many houses. Okay, well, let's make that happen because I'm going to quit my job. I said, okay. So hence was the first employee for Anchored Cleaning Services.
That's awesome. And we can get into the other family member that you added here in a minute, but I want to ask you some questions on, bringing your husband into the business. What are the pros and cons? Like, what are the things that you hate about it?
Yeah.
And what are the things that you love about it?
What I hate about it is that I'm not always right anymore. So you learn that you have another opinion, you have to balance here, and you have another viewpoint on here. You're not the end all be all in there. The pros is it's just kind of the same as the cons. The pro is that it's not the only opinion and you have that other viewpoint. I tend to be more pessimistic just in things, decision making, more negative, and he tends to be more positive. So if I say, well, this won't work out, then he'll say, well, yes, it could, and this is why. So it gives me another perspective. And then in retrospect, the same way with him. So we perfectly balance each other with business, and not everybody can. So there's a lot of bickering that we figure out along the way, and it says, you know what, let's try it, and it ends up working.
That's great. I think me and my husband have the same thing. He's more glasses half empty, like it's half full. But I love seeing what a small business can do to a relationship, right? It could be great. It can be amazing, but it can also be horrible. I've been on the other side of the great. I've also been in the horrible side with a prior relationship. But the fact that I see so many like home service business owners that their spouses are quitting their full-time jobs. They've been there, like Gabe was there 15 years to come in and work. And not to play down our cleaning company, but they're just little cleaning companies, but they can do so much.
Yeah. Yeah. We were just talking, this past week, what is our next steps that we want to do. And I told him, I said, I don't know if we can make those next steps. That I can see it in my head, but I just don't know how to play that out. And he told me, he said, well, I believe in this company. I believe in the vision you have for it and the vision that I have for it. So let's just take those steps and figure it out along the way. And I said, okay. And that's not like me. I have to have the game plan. I have to have the roadmap to know where to go. And let's just go. But yeah, a lot of people, they'll quit there. And he quit a job with benefits and retirement and everything. And he said, you know what? It's not, the benefits of those jobs weren't worth the waiting period to get there. He wanted to do his own ideas, have his own voice, and be able to do those plans that he had. Able to do that because he has a big gift for people and relationships. I tend to be more the statistical money person on this. I'll manage the books and he manages the people. And he's able now to practice those gifts that he has in there too. And it helps take that pain point off of me, because it can be hard just me to constantly be people. I have to have those spurts, but he can constantly go with the people.
Yeah, I love that combination of the two. My mom quit a better paying job to come work for our cleaning company, and now she runs it. But she had called me. No, she didn't call me. She actually applied for an office admin job without telling me. It was still when I was in the office, and I was looking through like who had applied, getting ready for the interviews. And I'm like, I look over at Chris, my husband, I said, I think that's my mom, like on that application.
Yeah.
She had wanted to quit her job because she left for the last day crying because the boss was so disrespectful.
Yeah. Yep.
And if you have a great company, no matter the size of your company, I think that you can make a huge difference in people's lives, and pay isn't always the number one thing.
Right.
Right. It's having a voice and being cared for, being understood.
Yep.
And we can have that impact. So I love that story. So fast forward how many years, and then what have you recently added to your business?
In 2020 is when he quit his job. So he quit his job in August of 2020. So I had already actually closed down the business for about almost 2 months. From March to April, May, to about mid-May is when I started to go back and call my clients and said, hey, are you ready for us to come clean your house? And they were ready. They would say, yes, please come clean my house. I don't, they were
closed it down because of COVID,
concerned about COVID is about the dirt in their house.
Yeah.
They were ready. The kids were all home. They needed the house cleaned. So, he started cleaning with me in August, and I started training him. And then slowly we just said, we need to hire help. We're starting to get maxed out here. So we started hiring employees, and that began that was still in 2020. We started hiring employees and learning how to just winging it. Googling how to run a business, then you get overwhelmed with the results. So you say, well, we'll just pick this and go with this. But then now, 4 years later, we actually have in January, we had our first baby, and he is 3 months old now. So he's been our newest addition to the family and to the business. And our colors are orange and blues. So he has a little orange onesie.
Hey, everybody. I'm Lori Rudiman. What are you doing? Working? Nah, you're listening to a podcast about work, and that barely counts. So while you're at it, check out my show, Punk Rock HR, now on the Work Defined Network. We chat with smart people about work, power, politics, and money. Are we succeeding? Are we fixing work? Probably not. Work still sucks, but tune in for some fun, a little nonsense, and a fresh take on how to fix work once and for all.
Fight you over that
I
orange.
was navy blue.
I'm joking.
No, I think, it's fun though. But we've just been orange colors all the time, and I'm always looking on Amazon for another orange outfit to get him. So yeah, he's 3 months old, and we love him. The employees love it when we bring him to the office. Whenever we have a staff meeting, everybody just gets a turn on him. So it's a lot of fun. It's definitely a lot of fun.
So how did it, for you, Faith, like business owner, then now bringing your husband into the game and then adding a baby to the mix? First, I want to ask, what were your fears of the anticipation of what the baby was going to do to the business?
That everything would stop. Because we own our own business, but we're still self-employed. If we don't work, the bills don't get paid. So me knowing that having a baby, and we had both wanted a baby for a long time. So I also knew I wanted to enjoy this baby in the sense of I wanted to unplug from the business and spend time with the baby and not be worried about it. So we had to, as soon as we found out I was pregnant, we both looked at each other and said, okay, let's get out of this day to day. That was our decision.
It's kind of like, oh my God,
day to day.
Now we got to go to work.
Yeah. Now it's a 9-month countdown here. We have to learn how to get out of the day to day in 9 months. And I was learning what to get out of my head so that somebody else can take on these roles, what Gabe needs to get out of his head for someone else to take on the roles. And it was very overwhelming, and not that we didn't know where to start, but it was just thinking of, could we even make it? Were we going to work this far? And then we weren't ready, on there. So it was probably about a year ago that we were about a year ago, we were trying to figure out what's the next roadmap, what's the next step. We were starting to get a little bit burned out in the business at that point too. So we were a little overwhelmed on where to go from there. We had different options that we could look at. I said, no, let's stick with this business. Let's make it work. And we want it to make it. Don't let the business run us. We're going to make it what we want it to be. And if we want to be available 24/7 for the business, then that's what we're going to do. If we want to be available 8 to 5 for the business, that's what we're going to do. So it was just creating that roadmap and finding others to help us get there also. I had some calls with you, some coaching calls with you in the business network that we're both in, that you're a coach in, and had some calls with other people that are kind of in the same boat, that had gone through that same path of, okay, I'm having a baby and I'm in the business. What do I do? And they were very, very helpful in just saying, it's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just do what you can. That's all it is. And we did. And then he was born, and for about almost 2 weeks, I was really not involved in the day to day, and it was really, really good. I think maybe after 3 or 4 days after the baby, then I decided to log on to my computer just because I wanted to.
It was you that did it.
I had to. Yes. It's because I wanted to get back to work. I didn't have to go back to work, and that was a gift. That was a gift I gave myself. Is that I was able to get that time for me and the baby, and just being.
So I love that. I had Yaya right after I launched our cleaning business, Organize It, and I was scared to death because I was like, I don't want to have her and then go right back to cleaning houses, because I was still cleaning houses 6 years ago when she was born. or 6 years ago. And it's amazing what we will do when we're like our back is up against the wall. Like it's amazing how we can make things work when they have to work.
Yep.
So I love that. So now that you've had them, and now that you had the fears that were set in your head, now what is it actually like after having him?
It's way easier than I thought it would be. He is the baby's really I'm very blessed. He's a very, very good baby. He's very quiet, oddly enough. But he's in the office with me. He's in his little baby swing. He's on his little feeding schedule, and he's 3 months, so he's still on the bottle. So I'm waiting for the day he can hold his own bottle, so I don't have to stop and get off the computer. But it is fun. But it's a really good dynamic having the baby there, because it reminds us to stop working. It's that in your face, it's time to stop working, Oh, he's smiling. We need to stop and enjoy this baby smile, because he's gonna grow out of it. It's all these phases he's going through now. And then it reminds us that even though sometimes when he would take naps and things like that, I would take advantage that I'm going to go to work now that he's taking a nap, and then I would be tired and cranky when Gabe would get home from work, and I said, this isn't gonna work. I need to be able to enjoy our family time when we're a family here outside of work hours on there. So that's been really important for us to put those boundaries in there, that no, we're not answering this call. No, we're not checking our phone. We're just enjoying each other. We're going to go out to eat, and we're not going to be checking the work email.
Absolutely. So I love that. So for any of our listeners that are adding additions to their work family, having a baby in the middle of a business that's growing or just launching, or even in a seasoned business, can be scary, but it's not the end of the world. You can get through it. So Faith, what are some tips that you could give any of our listeners if they are expecting or adding a baby to the mix of a family ran business? What are some things you did that kind of helped ease that?
Oddly enough, I put my house on the cleaning schedule. I actually didn't have my house on a regular basis on the cleaning schedule. And I said, okay, I'm getting my house cleaned every single week now. I was kind of sporadic and being there every 2 or 3 weeks whenever I felt like the house needed to be cleaned. But then I put myself on the schedule. So if any business you're in, get a cleaning company to clean your house if you're having a baby.
Find a house cleaner.
Yes. Find one and get that done for you. You won't regret it. You won't. But another thing is to really just, find out what you want, in a very literal sense. Like, I want to not wash dishes. Okay, so what are we going to do for you not to wash dishes? As silly as it sounds, Gabe and I sat down and we said, this is what I want. This is what he wants. And I don't wash dishes. I like unloading the dishwasher. I don't like putting them in. So he does that and I unload the dishwasher. It's as simple as that. It's kind of defining what do you want in there. And then with having the baby, it's just go with the flow. Don't feel like you have to have everything scheduled out, planned out, and family trips and this and that and outing. Just if you go with the flow, it's going to be so much easier. I try to, right now I'm working in the afternoons, and Gabe works in the morning and I work in the afternoon. So we don't even have a babysitter. We were just able, because of our work, we're able just to swap out our work schedules.
I love how you guys organize that to save money on a sitter.
Yes. And it's been so helpful because he does all his morning, he does our interviews, he does all the hiring for our company. So he does interviews in the morning, he does one-on-one meetings with the employees in the morning, then he'll come home for lunch, we eat lunch, and then at 1:00, I go to my desk and he has the baby. So like right now, it's the afternoon, it's his time to have the baby. And he has those bottles in the refrigerator. He can feed the baby. I don't have to know anything of what's going on. And then at 5:00, I walk out of my office and say, okay, now what? What are we going to do for dinner? Or we can plan our day from there. So we're able to not stress out about who's doing what and tag team and you're it and randomness. And it can be very chaotic, but that's not verbalizing what we both want out of this so we can both enjoy it.
So I love that. For me, I think one of the hardest things to get over was like the fact that when I was answering a phone, like Yaya could be making noise in the background. Like, who cares?
Yep.
Like, who cares if your dog is barking or your 10-year-old is making noise or your newborn is crying? It makes us more real as small business owners and more relatable. And I would say since COVID and the work from home era has started, or trend, it's normal. We see people like on NBC News filming from their bedroom with like their baby walking in on the walker. I remember that.
Yes. I remember seeing that. Yes. Yes. We actually, we had that happen last week where we, for our company, that somebody called to get their house clean and had a very, very large house. And we have kind of this golden rule that if it's over a certain square footage, then we'll do a walkthrough if we need to for it. And this one, I said, well, let me go ahead and come and do a walkthrough for your house. I'm leaving. It was around 5 o'clock, 4:45. And said, I'm leaving my office now. And I have my 3-month-old baby with me. So if you don't mind me bringing my baby, then I can come and get your house taken, because she needed it cleaned like in 2 days, and it was a crazy schedule.
Like, I promise I won't bring it to the cleaning.
Yes. And she said, oh, that'd be great. I love babies. And I joked with Gabe, my husband, and I said, and she ended up, we ended up cleaning her house and everything. And we had somebody who cleaned her house on Friday. And I joked with Gabe. I said, I think it's because we took the cute baby that she just wanted the house cleaned, just because of the cute baby on there. So it was that realness factor on there that people want. Yes, he did. He closed the sale. He didn't even say a word.
Awesome. So, now that you have this family dynamic going on, you have the baby, you have Gabe working with you, growing your business. What are some tips on what people can do if they want to work with their spouse, or they think their spouse is interested in quitting their job and coming into the small family business? What are some tips you can give our listeners?
Ask them, what do they want, and listen to it and work to make it happen. What are their dreams? What is their ideal workplace? What do they want? For Gabe, he wanted to have a refrigerator at the office. I'd never thought of it. And he said, yeah, I want to have a fridge. I want to have cold drinks. At my other workplace, we had a fridge and it was always empty. And I said, well, we're going to keep our fridge full. It's that tiny little thing on there that he wanted. So when the fridge is empty, we go and we restock the fridge, and we have snacks and all kind of stuff in the fridge on there. But really just knowing they're quitting for a reason. They're quitting their job for a reason. They either went to school for that job, they've worked there all their life, they have security, whatever it is. The reason they're quitting their job is because there's a pain point. And as a spouse, partner, best friend, it's the best gift you can give them is to hear that pain point and work with them to heal it, and for them to be able to, they're quitting their job because they want to be empowered. So give them that empowerment to fix that problem on there. So I know with Gabe, in his old job, he had a really hard time getting equipment for his job, he worked outside. He worked at a school district where he did the maintenance outside. And he had a hard time getting equipment and getting, having cold water in the fridge, things like that. So he always had to hammer about, I need to get this equipment. I need this equipment. This equipment's tearing down. You want me to do this job, but I don't have the equipment to do it. And so he reminds me constantly, our cleaning technicians, keep their caddies in good shape, give them good equipment, invest in those better products and tools so they can do their job in there, rather than me, the penny pincher, trying to get the cheaper thing in there. He helps me to find the better quality thing in there. So that's one thing that I've learned in working with your spouse, is just when you give them that freedom to grow in what their pain points were and what they wanted to fix and what they want this place to be, they're going to give back into your business a lot of times more than you could in there, because their strengths are usually your weaknesses and your weakness might be their strength. So you're feeding off of each other in there. So just listening to what they want and what their dream is, in the business, for the business, and from the business in their personal life.
I love that. I see on Facebook all the time people posting like, oh, my sister wants to come work for me, my husband, my mom. And so many people will reply, no, it's a terrible idea. Don't do it. It's horrible. And I think once you nail what kind of communication it takes to work with family or friends, it can be a phenomenal relationship because you get trust. Like you get someone that you can trust. And I think it's because we don't have good communication skills at the beginning, or when we try it, or our expectations are misaligned. And so I love that communicating, like you said, get what they want. Like Chris came to work for us. And I didn't want it to happen because I had a prior experience where it was horrible. And they kept asking me to bring Chris in. And I'm like, no, it's okay. Like, no, I'm good. Like, and then when we did bring him in to WootRecruit, I said, okay, I don't want to be his direct report. Like somebody else needs to manage him or hold him accountable because I don't want to do that. I've done that and it's not great. But that being said, it was because maybe I wasn't mature enough at the time with my ex for it to work out. But now we've removed that layer between us. Like I am his direct report. He's almost as even as I am in the company and does probably more than I do. But it can be a great thing because of the amount of trust that you can have in someone that's like a family member or a very close friend. But because it goes south once, it may be a maturity level thing, or like you're not great at communicating. And once you learn those things, I totally think you should lean into family because it can be a great relationship. It can be a great mix.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. When you learn what he means and what she means, and when you're talking and to understand it completely changes how you're listening to them too on there. So when they say, hey, we need this, if Gabe tells me, hey, we need to buy, trash bags for the office, and I'll say, oh, okay. And I'm ignoring, I forget. I just forget to buy trash bags. And he says, no, we need trash bags. It reminds me, oh, I need to give them good equipment. That's something that he's wanting to do here. That's something in his vision, and I can do that.
And it's a smallish trash bags, but what it is for him is a trigger.
Right.
Because if you don't do it, it anchors to that past experience.
Yes, exactly.
And
it's a domino effect.
It's a trigger.
Yep.
It's a trigger. So
exactly.
Chris has the same thing because he looks young for his age and the way he grew up. It's a whole nother story, but he has triggers. And it is. And you don't know these things unless you ask and you have open communications. But his trigger is, why did you do that? Because he was always, he grew up where he was kind of like with a family member that was very condescending, like very like micromanaging. Like, why did you do that?
Yes.
And if he wouldn't have shared that with me, I ask that question all the time. I ask it to my kids because I'm curious. But now I know I never say those phrase, that exact phrase, because it is a trigger. It makes him feel bad. Like,
yeah,
so I love that part of the equipment.
I have a similar trigger with it. It's very similar like that. My mom would constantly ask me, well, what were you thinking? I was like, I don't know what I was thinking. I wasn't thinking.
So
I don't know.
So he said it's, why would you do that? And what were you thinking? Were the two that he told me that are his triggers, that it does something in his mind. So as like managing him, if I didn't know that, I would constantly be knocking him down.
Yeah. Yep.
And now that I know that, like, I never say those phrases. I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, oh, trigger words. Like, don't say that.
Yeah. That's the alternative phrasing
so
here.
I reframe it to a different, and you could see it when I say it to him just like deflate.
Right.
So love that topic. So last question, as a mom, new mom, working with your husband, how do you stay motivated? How do you stay motivated to stay up with a newborn, to make time for your spouse, to run the business? What are the things you do to stay motivated?
Because let's see, that's a really good question. How do you stay motivated? You have, especially on a bad day, a joke, the bad days happen but you enjoy the good days, and the good days remind you, that the bad days aren't going to be very long. How do you stay motivated? Well, behind me, I made this sign behind me. You can see it just says, it says keep going. And that's how I stay motivated. This is I'm in my home office now. And this is actually the baby room too. So it's the nursery and home office. And I put it in the nursery and home office because I'm going to come in this room a lot when I'm tired and cranky and don't want to come to work. And it might be 2:00 in the morning and I'm keeping in there. And it's rewarding. That's what I would say, is that we stay motivated because we're rewarded, even the little things. This morning I was rewarded. I was kind of dragging. I didn't really want to get on the phones and go to work today and things like that. But a new client called us and she said, "Hey, you cleaned my friend's house on Friday, and I was calling because she referred you." I hadn't even called that client yet to see how her cleaning went and get some feedback, but that was the feedback on there, is that she had already referred somebody and we had already booked her and we're cleaning her house this Thursday. So that was the reward. And that's how we stayed motivated. And I still had a bunch of other owner things I had to do today that weren't the most exciting things, but they're on the owner's list, so I had to do them. But just that one high, it was good on there to say, hey, we're winning. This is good. We're keeping going. We're going to keep going here, and things are on the up and up. And something that we have, it sounds cliche, but now that we have like a future plan, now that we have the baby, we see things we want to do with the baby, and we have things we want to do for ourselves, but then now we want to go on there. Right now we're planning a trip to go to the zoo, and we want to go with the baby. It's something to go and do with the baby, and we don't really want to be bothered when we're at the zoo in the middle of the week in the afternoon. So the phones are going to get taken care of. The employees are getting taken care of. So we can go and have fun without that, without having to bring work with us. So we work to live. We don't live to work. We work to live on there. So that's really what keeps us, what keeps us motivated, is just knowing that it's not all work. We play a lot. We have a lot of fun.
Awesome. I love that, Faith. And we're going to end on that note, right? We work to live. We don't live to work. And I want to thank you for being a guest. And for our listeners, if you enjoyed this podcast, you can find more episodes at thefearlessness.com. I want to thank our sponsors, WootRecruit, for always sponsoring our amazing podcast, where we can learn more about other entrepreneurs and business owners and their journeys. And so that's a wrap, guys, into the heart of fearlessness. Remember, every step we take is a move towards our own strengths and courage. Keep walking through those fires, because on the other side of you lies a version of yourself that's unstoppable. I'm Libby, reminding you to embrace your fearlessness. Until next time, stay brave, stay bold, and keep pushing forward.